Advertising. This is great. Here's a typewriter, and it says $29.95 and has, for that price, capital and small letters. There was a great story on All Things Considered that as an April Fool's prank, a Boston company redid their entire office in typewriters for April 1st when their staff came in. And most of them were young staff. And they tried to work on these for half a day. And what they couldn't believe is they couldn't find the backspace. It was just incredible. But it's all, selling stuff is still the same. This is a paid post, a little controversial when it first came out, native advertising, we can talk about that. The New York Times, still selling stuff. So we're kind of like that, and some days we feel like that, especially with the 24/7 news cycle. We're partly analog, we're partly digital. All of us are kind of swinging over, and it's a very confusing time. The audiences now are 20 times larger than they were in the print world. Yet, the vast majority of the revenue for news companies comes from a small percentage of the audience. Let's quickly do this revenue math, and I haven't written about this yet, but I find it's just amazing when you look at this. So who is paying? So how does the digital world really work, and how has it affected the press? So the people who are paying for newspapers look like this still. Very loyal. Keep charging them more money, give them less product, and still 85–90% say, okay, I really like newspapers. Reader revenue, 30% of all revenue overall, comes of course from print subscribers, all access. In most cities that have paywalls, you say, we're restricting digital access, but because you're a print subscriber, just pay us $5 a month more and you get digital access. That's all access. That's where most of the money is coming from. And then about 1% of the digital audience might pay for a digital-only subscription. They look like this. Revenue math for advertising. 65% of all revenue. Got a 5% other here. So where does that money come from? 80–85% of that comes from print subscribers. The same people. If the print subscribers don't subscribe to the paper and get the paper printed, they don't get this advertising. Only 15–20% of advertising comes from digital readers. So we get a very, very small group of people who are still supporting the business. And then you look at it and you say, well, of that digital readership, it's not like this audience that is 20 times larger in unique visitors is really all that valuable. Because it's a very small percentage of readers, about 10%, who will generate basically 1/3 to 2/3 of all the page views that a site gets. So you got 10% of the digital readers, you got the print readers, and they generate almost all the money in the business. It would be nice if publishers understood this and acted on it, and they haven't. Where do they devote their thinking? Where do they devote their resources? They say, well, we need lots of readers. And how you doing on the web? We have this many unique visitors is the first number every news publisher will quote you, rather than who are your customers. As the print door closes, the window of opportunity is just wide open for new readers at this point. Now, of course, it's been open as the digital revolution has come along, but there are 3 factors that really define 2015 at this point. This mobile revolution that we've talked about, the social revolution that we've talked about, and the fact that millennials are coming of age and are forming habits. So the smartest people I talk to in the industry are understanding this and saying, we've got to get some of this new readership. They see that possibility. They see a way of dealing with this infinity and trying to reel some of it in. In the end, newspapers doing less and less for audiences and charging more and more. Basically, this has been the story. So they're not focusing on readers. What they've been doing is they were selling this for 50 cents, and now they're selling that for $1. Yet when I talk to publishers and I say, so what's the problem and how are you dealing with the problems? I never have one of them say, we really cut the quality of the product and we doubled the price. That might have something to do with it. I can't think of any other industry like that. And then we have this newer phenomenon of billionaires. I've called it billionaire bingo, where we have 424 billionaires in the United States. I mean, not quite enough to buy 1,400 newspapers, but we have had 3. Very interesting one. This is Glenn Taylor, the richest guy in Minnesota. He bought the Star Tribune last year, after John Henry bought the Boston Globe, and Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Very importantly, they have a different philosophy. Their philosophy is investing in the product, both the digital product and the print product, to a small degree, usually on Sunday. But they're investing in content, and they're investing in the future of the advertising business, largely in advertising technology. I call them the 50-50 men, and that's because they are doing something that people used to do in the old days, and they'd say, I want to have a newspaper company, I want to make money, I'd like to get rich, but I also understand a newspaper is a different kind of business than a car dealership or a furniture store, and it's got a community service element to it. They all understand this, and we've seen actually better products there in all 3 of those cities than they had 2 years ago. But there's only a few of them. Mainly what digital technology does is focus on these. So we have Meerkat came along. How many of you have heard of Meerkat? So Meerkat, I was at South by Southwest on the first day. I was doing a talk, and I was trying to move around a little as I do. And the guy said, this is a organizer there. He said, you can't move. And I said, why can't I move? He said, Meerkat, Meerkat. And I had been busy that day, so I didn't know that Meerkat had launched that day. And he's yelling, Meerkat, Meerkat. And he's got his iPhone, and he's doing the live, this is a live streaming. If we put video, I could hold up my phone right now and take pictures of everybody here, and everybody could see it. So Meerkat launches a month ago or so, and their big coup is Madonna walking somewhere. This is, and it's supposed to be this incredible revolution. It could be used in some interesting ways by news companies, I think, but this is, again, it's like, wow, look, we can capture reality. The problem, I think, as I've thought about this, is these questions of news that we care about most and where we're deficient in the intelligence and the wit and the depth and the experience is how and why. We just don't understand what's going on because we don't have people who are explaining it to us who know about it. It was always uneven, and newspapers always had problems with that, but it's a lot less. Now, we can count how many fewer stories there may be, but we can't count this other stuff. In a sense, we don't know what we don't know, but we know less. This is the frog, and the question I've been thinking about here is, who's the frog? Is it the newspaper companies? Well, kind of, right? This has been going on a long time. They've been sitting in the water. They're getting sicker and sicker. But I think the frog is us. I think the frog is the readers. And if you ask most people, we've got a crowd here who knows about journalism. You ask most people out there, and people who are even civically involved, they care about what's going on. They can't really do much about it, and they know less, and really the democracy suffers.